we will take it from the very, very basic. I'm sure students in in grade 12 who are looking at, starting a career from school to switching over to a college.
There's a huge recognition for ACCA. There's huge opportunity for ACCA, not just in India, but also over the world. So one would definitely be.
And especially in the field of finance, there are a lot of advices that would be given to students regarding ACCA, CMA, CPA, doing a CA in India, and a lot of other aspects. So in this confusion, could you clarify what exactly is ACCA and how does it compare to the other professional accounting qualification that's there outside?
They value people who have pursued this qualification. They know that they will be a great asset to the team. Recognition. 250,000 members have already been professional qualifications in the world.
All right. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, wherever you're logging in from. Welcome to the first webinar for 2025 as part of the Me Story series. Today we are going to be talking about ACCA, and to talk to us, we have today Ms. Althea, who is a Senior Business Relationship Manager for ACCA for South India. She's an MBA graduate from Loyola College, Chennai, with over 12 years of experience, and I'm sure she is going to be answering all your questions today in terms of understanding what ACCA and what the program is going to be. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome to Me Story.
Hi, Vishnesh. Good evening, and thank you for having me here.
So, Ms. Althea, we will take it from the very, very basic. I'm sure students in in grade 12 who are looking at starting a career from school to switching over to a college, they might be looking at various aspects of what they want to choose and where they want to build their careers. And especially in the field of finance, there are a lot of advices that would be given to students regarding ACCA, CMA, CPA, doing a CA in India, and a lot of other aspects. So in this confusion, could you clarify what exactly is ACCA and how does it compare to the other professional accounting qualification that's there outside?
Right. First, I would like to thank all the students who have joined in today, despite being a Saturday evening. So that shows a lot of initiative and that shows a lot of thought that goes into actually choosing the career that they would want to pursue. Coming back to your question, this ACCA is the Chartered Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. It's based in the UK, and we've been around for almost 120 years plus. ACCA is one of the most prestigious professional qualifications that are currently in the world today. This qualification is specially designed for students who are aspiring to build a global career in finance, accounting, and business leadership. With this qualification, you are able to study and learn more than 10 key competencies that are required for finance professionals these days. It's a very updated syllabus that they study, so that is one of the key benefits of doing your ACCA. It has a global presence. I'm sure that everyone today wants that global mobility. They want to move from one city to the other or one country to the other. So ACCA offers you that, and it offers you a complete package of knowing everything that you need to know to be a finance professional, which not only helps you to begin your career, but also helps you during the entire career while you want to move into a different role or you want to move into a different country. ACCA is there as one of the most leading professional accountancy qualifications that students have. Another thing is that ACCA is a very flexible qualification. There are multiple entries for ACCA. There are multiple exam sittings for ACCA. And it also helps you hit the ground running when you're actually looking for employment, because our curriculum is built for what is needed tomorrow. And if you look at our tagline, it says ACCA Think Ahead. So we are always thinking about what future finance professionals would need, and that's how our curriculum is built as well. So that, I think, is one of the biggest comparisons between other professional accounting qualifications and to ACCA.
That's interesting. Yes, I think students today should be choosing programs which are getting updated at a real-time basis. With the onset of AI and a lot of influence in terms of the IT influencing studies, I'm sure ACCA curriculum is also mapped in terms of what the future requirement would be. Moving on to the next question, what are the benefits of pursuing ACCA for students who are specifically looking at a global career in finance and accounting?
So there are multiple benefits for students to pursue ACCA. I'll probably just mention four, and these are the key benefits that I see, and these are the key benefits that students or ACCA members have also been highlighting to us. First thing is the opportunity that students have after they finish their ACCA qualification. ACCA is present in more than 180 countries all over the world. We work with more than 7,500 approved employers across the world as well. We currently have about 5 lakh plus students studying with us, and we have about 250,000 members across the world. So it is, there's a huge recognition for ACCA. There's huge opportunity for ACCA, not just in India, but also over the world. So one would definitely be, opportunity. The second thing is respect. Employers know ACCA, they value ACCA, and they know that a person who has completed ACCA would bring that strategy, would bring that business, would bring those skills to their organization. So they value people who have pursued this qualification, and they respect them. They know that they will be a great asset to the team because of this qualification and because how future thinking this qualification is as well. The third thing is, of course, recognition. This is a qualification that is present, where 250,000 members have already been qualified. And it brings a lot of recognition to know that you are a professional accountant studying one of the most leading profession qualifications in the world. And wherever you go, you will be recognized for this qualification. There are also multiple recognitions that happen with, in each country for their local public accounting. So that is also one thing that, they are hugely recognized. And the fourth thing is, of course, reward. We do know that, ACCA members are some of the highly paid employees as well as an organization because of the value that they bring to the organization. So these are the four benefits, I would say, but there are multiple other benefits, like it's a very future-proof skills that they learn in the qualification, the flexibility of the qualification, the employer demand, that is also, it's a very highly sought-over qualification, not just in India, but also over the world.
Thank you, Ms. Althea. I think somebody who's looking at a global career should probably look at ACCA because the opportunities open up not just limiting to India, but I think a lot of other countries which are looking for ACCA professional. And as you rightly mentioned, there's a huge demand for these students who graduate with the diploma of ACCA. Since you mentioned global career opportunities and countries, and what are the kind of career opportunities? What are the kind of roles that the students who graduate an ACCA program get into?
Sure. One thing that students can also look at to know this information is that we have an ACCA career portal where we work with employers across the world for students to actually, ACCA students, affiliates, members to actually go and apply for these jobs. So you would find, freshers, internship available jobs, as well as, very experienced jobs like CFOs, financial controllers, as well listed on this website. So one thing that, maybe students after this call could go and look it up to know for themselves. But of course, since I'm here, every industry you would find that there are multiple opportunities, be it banking, be it, manufacturing, be it financial service, even education for that matter. Each and every, whether it's an MNC or whether it's a small and medium enterprise, they're all having opportunities for finance professionals. You would find, from entry level, like maybe business consultants, tax consultants, audit, you would find a lot of roles, a lot of opportunity in these roles. And you would also see roles for risk analysis, internal auditors, CFOs as well, financial controllers, finance managers. So it could just go on, and the industries as well, each industry would require financial professionals. So there is like limitless opportunities for students who decide to pursue a career in, finance and accounting.
Okay, all right. Since you mentioned the different career opportunities available, and the students, mostly today our audience are students from school who are going to be graduating school, and they're looking at building a university program, to choose a university program, and then add on a specialization which is beyond the university program. This is not specific to ACCA. My question is a little more flexible in that sense, to understand from being in the industry and being networking with a lot of industries around the globe. I'm sure you yourself would have experienced why an add-on program helps a university student from your regular BCom, BCA, or doing a BBA, but you do a lot of industry attached programs today. Why do you think that adds value to a student who's specifically graduating from school?
I think that, there are more than 60-70 lakh students who pursue undergraduation, and I think I'm being very modest when I give this number, right? And when an employer is looking to recruit somebody into his organization, and everyone who goes into graduation, at least 75% of them want to actually get employed after they finish their undergraduation. A few of them go into PG, of course. When an employer is looking to recruit, they need to find a differentiation. Even if they come to one specific university, you would find at least about 500 to 700 students doing the same program, be it a BCom or a BCA or a BBA or a BA Economics. So how do you help the employer to differentiate? What would set you apart from the crowd, from these 700 students in the very same university? And when you come out of the university, you are competing with lakhs and lakhs of students. And when an employer has a job opening, you would find that for 10 job openings he would receive thousands and thousands of CVs. We also know with technology advancing and the world of recruiting changing, the average time spent on a CV is about 6 to 10 seconds. So in that 6 to 10 seconds, you're actually convincing an employer to at least give you a chance to shortlist you for the second round. And having a qualification like ACCA on your CV and saying that I have pursued ACCA while I was doing my undergraduation shows the initiative that the student has taken, shows that the student has purpose, he is driven, he is ambitious. He also brings a lot of technical skill set along with his undergraduation. He has a specific skill set as well, and this would make him or her stand out from the crowd. This would make his CV be the top CV for a recruiter to look at. And when it is an ACCA qualification, employers already know us. They already know the rigor of the qualification. They already know the curriculum that the student has to pursue to complete their qualification. So they know the effort that the student has put into it. And this is what they want. If they are looking for an undergraduate, they would get multiple students, but they are looking at what sets this person apart. And that is why it is important to, of course, have your BCom or your undergraduation, because that sets the foundation for your qualification. But also to have a specialized qualification like ACCA added, it shows you have an expertise, or you're building an expertise with these two qualifications together. And that is what employers are looking forward for. They want initiative. They want people who join them to be driven and to add value to the organization as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, I'm not sure you could have put it any better. So
thank you.
Yeah. This is a personal question of mine. As a part of this particular research, when we were interacting with students, the most common question that came to me was very, very tricky to answer. In fact, the question is, Sir, is ACCA very, very tough to study? I've heard CA is difficult and sorry, impossible, and CPA or CMA is difficult, ACCA is tougher, and all these. And I'm sure these are relative from individual to individual. But if you want to give a generic reply to that, just to for a student to understand the rigor of the particular program, because you mentioned the rigor of the program. So could you possibly throw some light in terms of what is the demand that is required from the student?
Nothing comes easy in life, especially something that could, guarantee and give you much better opportunities, much better recognition, reward, respect. So definitely, I would not say that ACC is an easy qualification, but we do have numerous resources to support our students. It's a very flexible qualification, as I said earlier. We also have, various entry points for students. So there is also something called prior learning, where students who come from a specific set of qualifications get a couple of exemptions as well. So we award prior learning. It's flexible, so they have 4 windows to write their exam. We have multiple resources. We have something called the ACCA Study Hub, which is a digital textbook kind of, which has everything that they would need to learn and write and pass the exam. What we would require from the student is just commitment. A student who's committed and dedicated and knows the value of the qualification and knows that, spending some time today or spending some time for the next 3 years would actually result and benefit them for the next 30-40 years of their life. So that is the only thing. It's a qualification that we see, we have over 250,000 members in the world. So it has been done by 250,000 people before you who have gone through the same qualification that you have studied. So it is not impossible. It is very much possible, but it's a lot of hard work, commitment, and dedication that goes in. And ACCA, as a professional body, we are here to support. We are here to help you, and we also have university partners, approved learning partners like yourself, to also support that study progression for the student.
Agreed. I think whatever people think is easy is tough if you don't prepare for it or you work hard for it. And I think ACCA also can be easy if the students are committed and that they're following a strict discipline in terms of the education that they have to go through. Coming back to the employment, I mean a lot questions are largely on employment or building a career with ACCA. Now, there's questions which are very common that I've picked out are largely asking, what are the qualified professionals of ACCA doing? I mean, what do they typically do? Now, what is their career roles in an organization? So, what do they do? Something specific, or there are diverse opportunities for students?
So ACCA, equips you with 10 key competencies, or even maybe more than that. And you have your tax, your audit, your financial reporting, your financial management, law, management, accounting, etc. So there's multiple competencies that you actually get trained with and equipped with throughout the qualification. You also have certain skill sets that you learn, like leadership, ethics, professionalism, that is really look forward to in a professional accountant. So because you are highly trained with so many skills and so many competencies, you have multiple opportunities in various industries as well, in various roles as well. Some of the industries that I also mentioned was, the banking and financial services. You would have healthcare, you would have consulting, you would also have education, audit and assurance, taxation, ESG is something that is also picking up. So you would find, ACCA professionals working there as well. Technology, IT. So these are some of the industries that you would see ACCA members, affiliates working with. There's a lot of MNCs that recruit ACCA for various roles. Mostly it would be tax, audit, financial reporting. Advisory is also something that ACCA members would find themselves working in. So these are mostly the most common high demand roles in the finance industry today. and these are typically where ACCA qualified professionals you would also find. Apart from that, a lot of the Gen Z especially have started to launch off into entrepreneurship. So this is a qualification that also gives you that finance knowledge that you would need. If you are, starting your own business, or if you're looking to run your own business, this is a great fit. ACCA fits in very well in entrepreneurship as well, even into education. We find a lot of younger qualified members to also take a leap into teaching. So no matter what you're looking at, this qualification would help you achieve that goal or help you achieve that vision. So yeah.
Thank you. All the students who have logged in, I hope that answers a lot of your doubts in terms of building a career with ACCA. The Q&A section is open now. You can start keying in your questions, and we will be taking it up post my round of questions are completed. And if there are any questions which are related to the questions that I'm already asking, I shall take your questions at the same time. Moving on, you did explain in terms of how your modules are divided and how the students can take it up to make it easier for themselves. So what is the approximate timeline that a student usually takes to complete an ACCA diploma?
It would depend based on when the student starts. Since we are talking to students who have completed 12th standard, mostly students who have completed 12th standard, I would say the program is designed to complete along with their BCom. So there's a lot of overlap that you would also see in their BCom curriculum to ACCA. So if you're a 12th standard student who's just going to complete and join your BCom, 3 years is more than sufficient to write all your papers and complete. If you are already a BCom student, then you would probably take less than 3 years, maybe 2 years to complete your ACCA qualification if you've completed BCom. So the range would change, the duration of the program would change, but ideally I think 3 to 4 years is what we've seen, and students are able to achieve, again, because it is so flexible and they are able to write exams 4 times a year. It would also depend on their commitment on how fast they want to finish, but 3 to 4 years is the usual duration that we've seen.
So adding on to this question, what are the exam pattern like? So they follow a grading system. Is it an MCQ? Do they have to write essay papers? How was your evaluation in the subjects that they take?
So it would be very different based on the subject. So we have 13 papers in ACCA and it's spread across 3 levels. So we have the applied foundation, we have the applied skill, and then the strategic professional. So if you look at the applied knowledge level, it consists of 4 papers, and these 4 papers are CBE exams, and the results would be given to you immediately. Right? So these 4 papers are just MCQs. When you move on to the applied skills, there's a 60% MCQ and 40% detailed answers as well. And again, all our exams are taken on computers. It's fully computer based. There's no pen and paper. When you move on to the strategic professional exam, it could be very different. Like one paper, the first paper, which is strategic business leader, is a case study. So, you get your pre-read a couple of days before your exam, and it's a complete case study that you would have to give it. There's no negative marking or, things like that. It's an exam that doesn't test what you've learned and what you're able to remember, but it is more as to how you're able to apply it practically. So that is how we test our students. And since it's all taken online, it's all taken on a computer, it also gives them that relativity of how it's actually done in a workplace as well. So we are very technology driven as well, and students have an inbuilt practice platform to practice for their exams with worksheets and workbooks as well. So the exam itself is very technology driven, and the grading is also, you would get your results back in maybe a month to 45 days.
Thank you, Ms. Althea. The next question is, I think I know most of our students today who have joined us are about to take the 12th grade examination. Some of them might have already taken, but there are some younger kids on in the panel as well. So this is specific to them. So when do you think is the right time for a school student to start preparing for ACCA? Is there a pre-preparation required? That's the first question. And if it is required, when should they be start doing any of these preparations?
We've seen students join us even as early as 8th grade because one thing is they were very focused that they want to become a professional accountant, and we also have a lot of resources that are available for students who want to start early. So one such program is the Foundation in Accountancy, which teaches you the basics of accounting, financial accounting, management accounting. You would find that students who are doing the 11th and 12th in commerce in school would find it very similar. So this is a great place to start, which is the foundation level, FIA we call it, Foundation in Accountancy. It's about 4 papers that they would have to review, but it's a great place to start for someone who's very serious into becoming a professional accountant. Because their foundations would become rock solid, and from there it would be very easier one to also do their 11th and 12th standard exams. It will also help them if they choose a BCom in college, and it would also help them throughout their ACCA journey because they've already got the foundations of accountancy. So this is a great place for them to start if they are interested in. And there's a lot of resource on the ACCA global website for them to just go review and see what they are getting into. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of quizzes for them to check, for them to understand, where they stand, what have they understood, what have they not understood. Yeah, so I would say that is a great place for someone who to start earlier on in school.
So it's never too early to start. So from grade 8, they can start their preparations. Since you mentioned it helps students to go on, if they take a BCom, it would help them doing the BCom as well. Now, this is a very common question that I have received in terms of students asking, ACCA can be done without college, but a parent would never want a child just to do an add-on qualification without a college degree. From where you stand, from your perspective, a student doing a BCom with ACCA is the right way forward? Is it the right way forward?
In India, yes. Graduation is something that not just parents but also employers look at. And as I said earlier, a BCom sets the foundation of their education itself. We do find students who do ACCA just alone without BCom, but majority of our students do have an undergraduate degree as well. And of course, BCom has a lot of gives them a lot of technical knowledge along with their ACCA, which complements the ACCA qualification. So BCom and ACCA complement each other. And together it's like a dual advantage that they have. They study BCom regionally in India, regional expertise that they would need in the undergraduation, and ACCA brings that global practical expertise that they would require. So I would say that a combination of both, because of the breadth and depth of both the qualifications, makes the candidate a lot more competitive in global markets as well, or when they're looking for employment. So I would say that it's a dual advantage.
Fine. So I think that sort of clarifies everybody's doubt in terms of should you be doing BCom or should be doing ACCA alone. And as you rightly mentioned, especially students are looking at building a career in India, wanting to apply for those government-related jobs, should mandatorily have a degree to be, pursuing their programs beyond that. Are there any specific resources or platforms that a student should use, or is it available for their ACCA examinations? You did mention a global portal that is available. If you could just elaborate a bit more on that in terms of what kind of preparatory material is available and how can they utilize that?
Sure. So we do have something called the ACCA Study Hub, which is available to students once they've registered for ACCA. So this is a digital text or study text that each of them would have, and it would contain every single paper that is there in ACCA, including the foundation and accountancy that I spoke about earlier. So if a student is looking to just brush up their accounting foundations, they have everything right there. So you would have, of course, chapters there, your revision kit, your study material in this study hub itself. You would also find a lot of flashcards, quizzes, short videos to watch. So for a student to prepare and write an ACCA exam, this is something that students ideally go to. You also have multiple other resources, like we have a CBE practice platform. Because our exams are run on computers, which is India is still picking up from pen and paper to computers. We have a CBE practice platform where students are able to experience how an ACCA exam would actually be before the exam. So it 99% replicates an ACCA exam as well. We have multiple mock tests for students to try before they give an exam. We also have our approved learning partners as well as university partners like yourself to help students to pursue this qualification. So students who are looking to prepare for an exam would also be able to access multiple resources on our website. They would one thing is the examiner report, where examiners who actually correct these ACCA answer sheets share a report of what they were looking forward to for each paper and what they got. So students are able to draw comparisons from that. And another resource that we have, which is called My Exam Performance. So students who write an applied skill level paper, whether they've cleared or not, they get a very detailed report of how their exam went, what they did well, what they should be improving on. So these are and there are multiple other resources that I could go on. Being a global qualification, we are very we do take a lot of effort into ensuring that students have the right resources to qualify. And if students have any questions, they should be looking at the website, and they would know that there's a vast ocean of resources available for them to support them in this journey as well.
I'm sure that all the listeners today would definitely be going onto your site and checking to understand what exactly what they could practice with. Talking about examinations, is there a practical experience requirement? Are the students supposed to go mandatorily intern under a senior financial consultant? Is there a minimum period that they have to work under, or is there any other different way of evaluating the practical knowledge of a particular student? So how does ACCA do it?
So we do have something called PER, which is called Practical Experience Requirement in ACCA. PER mandates 36 months of relevant work experience, not necessarily under a qualified, not just under a qualified supervisor, I would say, but it could be in any role related to finance and accounting. And they can also do this experience before, during, or after their qualification. And it can be in any industry, any job role. It could be an internship, it could be a part-time, it could be a full-time job. Doesn't matter, as long as the role equips them with certain requirements that we have, and it is done it's related to a finance and accounting role. Now we would look for somebody to approve this work experience for them. It could be any professional accountant. It could be their supervisor, or anyone in their organization could also approve it for them. So they would require 36 months of experience, which can be done anytime during their qualification.
Understood. So you said 36 points or
months, 3 years.
36 months. That's months, 3 years of work
3 years, yes.
You mentioned that ACCA, there are globally there are many countries who accept the and recognize ACCA as such, and when a student graduates from the program can find employment. But out of the 2.5 lakh, approximately the number that you mentioned, which country, where are the largest number of ACCA professionals currently working?
I think we would say, since we are from UK, we have a huge volume of our ACCA members in UK itself. We would also find parts of Europe. You would find our members there. China is another country that we have. The Middle East, Singapore, Malaysia. These are countries where you would find a lot of our, members working. You would also find a lot of people pursuing ACCA in these countries. India is also a country where we find members, growing very steadily, and there's a huge demand also in India for student, not just for students, but also we see that members finding the value of ACCA. So the number in India also keeps growing each day. Apart from the other global countries, I think India is also picking up when it comes to ACCA members, the recognition as well.
All right, students, before I ask my next question to Ms. Althea, if you can start sending in your questions to the QA round, and post the next question, I shall be taking up your questions, and Ms. Althea shall be happy to answer your questions. If you have anything, please start sending them in. This is a very interesting question that has come in. Are there any inspiring success stories of an ACCA alumni that you would like to share?
There are many. In fact, I've been with ACCA for the last 10 years. So I've, worked with students over the last 10 years. And every time that, I go back to a certain university or a certain state, I always find somebody who would come and tell me that, you registered. I listened to you talk when I was doing my first year BCom. And I am, very happy to tell you that I've completed so many papers in ACCA. And I've been, placed in this MNC. So one such student was, which I had, met maybe just about a couple of months ago. She registered during a COVID period, which was 2020, peak COVID, when BCom, everything was online and, everything was very uncertain. And, she was very skeptical as to, is this the right way for me to go? There's a lot of changes and there's a lot of predictions that are happening because of COVID, and they say that everything is going to change. So is this what I should do? We spoke to her and she understood that she was very particular that she wants to do a professional accounting qualification. She wants to do ACCA, but just the whole COVID thing threw her off, and there were other things. She had actually started writing her exam, and the 5th paper that she wrote, she was a world ranker. She achieved the 2nd highest rank for taxation across globally. So that kind of, really sparked a lot of enthusiasm in her, and she was very happy that she decided to do this. And, I don't know, she was a very hardworking, very dedicated student as well, and she was very, confident that she wanted to become an ACCA member. 3 papers later, she again scored, the 3rd global rank for another paper, and she's competing globally. Lakhs of students write her exams, and then she got placed, and now she is actually successfully in the Europe. She's working. She got placed in India, and her organization had then relocated her to Europe. So that was one success story. Another story that I always tell students that I speak to is about a boy. He was from the Middle East. And he was a very young boy. He joined ACCA when he was about 16 or 17. And he became a qualified affiliate by the age of 19. So just 2 years, he worked, really hard. He knew that this qualification, he knows the value that this qualification has, and the high demand that employers also find. And, he was very persevering, and he was very resilient. He wrote his exams, he got qualified at the age of 19. And because of this, because employers are always looking at people who sets them apart, right? At the age of 20, he was placed with a very, very high package. I think it was, over 25 lakhs per annum was what he was placed with. and at the age of 20 with a huge package, because he showed that initiative, he showed that drive, he stood out from the crowd basically. So these are the two success stories. But you log on to LinkedIn and you will find that every other person would have something to say about this qualification. Of course, there are people who also do not clear their exams, but they would never give up because they know the value and demand that this qualification has. So you would read multiple success stories, and you would also find students writing in after their exam results are released, talking about I cleared my ACCA and 2 weeks later I've been placed with this MNC, or I've got a job with this package. So there are multiple success stories that you will find in India, globally as well.
And I'm sure these stories must be inspiring the kids of logged in today as well, and I hope that they take this in the right spirit and put it into their day-to-day work, including starting to study for the grade 12 examinations really well. So, Ms. Althea, it's time to take the questions from our audience today. There are quite a lot of questions that have already come in. I would probably skip the questions which you have already answered to, which are similar ones. I take up a few ones which we have not discussed as yet. There is one question which was very interesting. Tanmaya Yelamarthi asks, is it possible to do ACCA course alongside CA? I'm not sure if the two courses are to be done together or do they need to do it together, but this is a question Tanmaya has.
I think it would depend on the student. If they would want to pursue two qualifications at the same time, it can be done. We have no restrictions as such. It can be done. We also have multiple opportunities for Indian chartered accountants after they complete their IPCC. There are a couple of exemptions that are also awarded, and even for qualified CAs, we do have 9-paper exemptions post that as well. It would depend on the student, I would say. Two qualifications, quite rigorous. There would be a lot of effort that goes into it. Two qualifications that exams, who have exams maybe similar time or little later. So it would definitely depend on the student, but it's possible, it can be done. There is no limitation to her ambitions or his ambitions.
Next question is from Shruti. Shruti asks, are there any specific soft skills which are required for an ACCA qualification or to become a professional in ACCA?
I would say there's no specific soft skill for ACCA. To study ACCA, our exams are like any other exam. It's in English. You just write it on the computer. That's it. And this is a technical skill maybe, and this is something that students or anybody for that matter is quite fluent and efficient in using a computer, right? So I don't think that's any specific soft skill to study ACCA, but I would definitely think that there are multiple soft skills that would be needed for you to be successful after your ACCA qualification in employment, etc. Of course, communication is something that everybody is wanting, good communication. You also want people who are able to be good decision makers. Problem solving skills is something that they look at. Initiative, leadership skills, which starts off right from school. It doesn't really mean that you need to be in a position in a large organization to be a leader. You could develop these skills right from your school itself. In fact, a lot of these skills can actually be picked up while you're pursuing your school. Leadership, problem solving, critical thinking. These are things that employers are actually looking for, because they know that technical knowledge is something that can be learned and developed, but soft skills is something that it's very personal, and you would have to make that effort to actually understand where you lack, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, and try and fill in those gaps as well.
Thank you, Ms. Althea. The next question is from Shweta. Shweta wants to know what are the most common challenges faced by ACCA students and how can it be overcome?
I think some of the challenges maybe I've already spoke about is about the Uh, the commitment, I think that it's a common problem across any student for any qualification. It is the ability to see short term versus long term. It's a Saturday evening, I really want to go to the mall. It's a short term goal comparative to if I spend 3 hours to study on a Saturday evening. In the next 3 years or in the next 6 years, I would be, my career path would be much different, or I would be able to be placed in an MNC or whatever whatever their ambition is. So I think that is a challenge that also students have. There's also a lot of opportunity right now for students, and I think that it is very important that students are able to align their skill set. Even as a 12th standard or 11th standard student, there are specific behaviors, there are specific values, there are specific interests that students have, and they should learn how to kind of align that with their ambition or with their career. There's a joke in India that says that first you become an engineer and then you decide what you want to do, and it's been like this for years. But what also happens is that you spend 4 years studying a qualification that you did not have interest to actually have a career in. And that's me. I'm an engineer by education, but I do something very, very different. So this is what I tell all young students, is that align your interest with what you want to be. And I think that would also make their employment, their career, their life very happy, fulfilling, and then they are also very interested in what they do. So I would say that.
I couldn't agree more. An engineer as well doing something else. So, all right. So that brings us to the next question from Bindu, and specific to this particular topic, the question is it possible to join ACCA if I come from a non-accounting background? So I'm just merging two questions here, which are similar to somebody else's question as well. That question is, can I start my ACCA if I've already done a graduation from a non-accounting background?
All right. To both the questions, I would say yes. I spoke about the foundations in accountancy, where we covered the foundations for a student who has not pursued accounting qualification or an accounting degree. So when we start off with the foundations in accountancy, right? So you would learn the basics of accounting, the basics of financial accounting, management accounting. You will also study a little bit about business and technology. So even if you come from a non-accounting background, whether it's in school or whether after a degree, you will still be able to pursue ACCA. In fact, you bring a very fresh perspective because you've studied, some other qualification, but you're coming into finance. You would come in with those perspectives as well. So I would actually look at this as an opportunity rather than a limitation. And as I mentioned, there's multiple resources across our ACCA website for students who come from these backgrounds as well. So there's a lot of support that we could offer as well to these students. And we've seen this. We've seen students come in from science, people who finished engineering and also come in to do professional qualification. We've seen this multiple times that it happens.
Just to add to that question, is there an age limit on that?
There is no age limit on joining ACCA. We find students from the age of 16 and it goes up. We strongly believe that age is just a number. That's it. Yeah.
So Shruti has a question. What is the recommended number of papers to attempt per sitting?
See, we do have. You can write 4 papers a sitting to a maximum of 8 papers in a year. However, we recommend that students write maybe maximum of 2 papers per sitting, because there's also a cost that goes into writing your exam. There's also a lot of preparation that goes into writing an ACCA exam. So we would say 1 to 2 papers per sitting is what we would recommend.
Okay. There's another question from Shruti again. Is ACCA recognized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India?
No, the ICAI is a qualification itself, and it is the recognized qualification in India. ACCA is not recognized as such by the government, but students can function in MNCs, they can be employed as well. They cannot sign balance sheets in India because ICAIs only have that that power and recognition to do it. But they can work and function as a professional accountant in India.
Very, very interesting questions coming up. As automation and AI continue to evolve, do you think the traditional accounting skills taught in ACCA or any other program will remain relevant in the next decade? Asks Shweta.
I think in the beginning of this session, I also spoke about how ACCA keeps their curriculum very updated, right? And there's a lot of research that goes, there's a lot of discussion with employers that also go to understand what are the skill sets that they would look forward to in the next couple of years. So when we update our curriculum, we are not updating for accountants of just today. We are updating for the future of accountants, right? So while there's a lot of change, and I agree to this question, the accounting, a lot of things have changed in the accounting world. The earlier accountants were viewed as people who just crunch numbers, who just work with balance sheets, just work with tally. It's moved on from that tremendously because of the involvement of tech and AI. And as a professional qualification, we ensure that our qualification is updated with the relevant skill sets that students need for tomorrow. So you would not only find things like technology and AI in our curriculum, but you'll also find soft skills or leadership skills that you would also be able to build within the ACCA qualification. But this is a great question, and thank you for asking me.
The next question is also very interesting. This comes from Nevin Varghese Abraham, and he wants to know, is it very important to do BCom ACCA from a very highly reputed college, or can I do it from some tier 2 colleges as well? I'm trying to understand this question. Probably the question is from when he says tier 1, he means the highly ranked institutions in the country, or should he look at tier 2, probably a little lower institutions as well?
I would say that the choice of institution is completely up to the student, whether it's a tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 university or college. The ACCA qualification remains the same. They still study the same qualification, they still take the same exam, they still study the same curriculum, and they're still competing with the same set of students. So it's a very personal choice, for where you would study BCom. But ACCA remains the same wherever you study, and even if you choose to study in India or abroad, the qualification remains the same. I hope that helps, and if there's a follow-up, I'm happy to take that as well.
If to add to the answer, Nevin, what I would recommend is that you look at the qualificational grading or the ranking of the institution that you're going to study, their curriculum, their affiliation, their approvals, so that your degree is valued not just in India but also wherever you go. Look at the infrastructure of the institution, because if you're going to be studying in a college, it's very important that you spend your 3 years or 4 years in that institution. It's not just books. The reason why you go to college is to learn through interactions, to learn from networking. So look at how the infrastructure is facilitating that, the kind of students that come to that particular university. Are there any international students? Because that experience, that exposure also helps you. So that should be the choice, rather than going by one institution in the country or two institutions in the country. I'm sure there are many that you could choose from who fit into this particular bracket. Moving on. This is again a question that is with regards to the practical experience requirement. How will the students find companies to fulfill their PER?
So I also mentioned at the earlier part of the session, we have something called the ACCA Career Portal, and there are multiple opportunities that are listed there from multiple organizations as well across the world. Specifically, we have a dedicated team that works with employers based in India. Specifically, I'm talking about India, who go and talk to the employers about ACCA, help them understand the value, the demand, the rigorousness of the qualification, and then we work with them to also list their openings on our job site. So you can find a job through that if you want to complete your PER. Or or any traditional way of finding a job also works. The PER what we require, doesn't mean that there is a given way of finding a job. It is more on what you're learning through that job. What is the practical experience that you're getting through the job? Are you able, if it's tax, are you fulfilling these criteria? Are you able to, efficiently work and get somebody to sign off that you've completed all these objectives? That is PER. So finding a job is, how you would do it. Campus placements also work. A lot of our students who finish BCom and get placed on campus, they go into a finance and accounting role, and that also could help you with your 36 months of PER.
One last question for the day. Assuming that a student has completed a BCom with ACCA, what should be the next course of education if they want to go a little more higher in terms of education? So is ACCA the end of it, or is there something beyond ACCA that they can study?
I wouldn't say that ACCA is the end of it. There's a lot of other skill sets that you can add. Data analytics is something that is picking up worldwide, so you could look into that. There's also blockchain that is picking up. If you're looking at something else into technology, these are other certifications that you can do. Continuous learning is something that is very necessary, not just for ACCA members or ACCA students, but for professionals as well. So any professional, whichever field they are in or whichever industry they are working in, continuous learning is something that is very, very necessary. So I would suggest that based on your interest and based on the industry that you're working in or the industry that you would want to work in, what are the upcoming skills that you would require, or what are the upcoming requirements that the world is, what are the future skills that is required, and base your next study on that. So that I wouldn't say that ACCA is the end. You would have to keep updating yourself. Even with ACCA, if you are an ACCA member, there is something called continuous professional development, and each member should complete that every year. So I would say that BCom and ACCA, two qualifications that would help you get started, and of course will keep moving on throughout your career. But as the world changes, as the job market changes, and we've seen this evolving throughout the years, you would have to pick skills that are required and choose that if you would want to keeping yourself updated. But it's good to see that there's so much of focus on continuous learning and looking at already another qualification that you would like to do. So that's great initiative.
Yes. I would like to squeeze in just one last question from Suhana Mannan, because I think this is a very, very relevant question for the students who are studying CBSE. Her question is, as a CBSE students, we have not been taught computerized accounting. Would it affect me while doing ACCA?
Not necessarily at all. I think I mentioned this earlier as well, that we start with the foundations. And if you've not studied something somewhere, you could always start it from your ACCA qualification itself. So we go over basics, and there are also multiple resources for you. If you find that I do not know this particular chapter, or I'm not very fluent in this particular chapter, you would have multiple resources to also go and verify that back or look at that back. And at this point, with the amount of resources that are available on the internet, on YouTube, from various other educationalists, you can complete your research, or you can complete your learning on anything in like 10 to 15 minutes. You would find something that's very relevant to keep yourself updated. So if you find yourself that, I have not learned this, there's an opportunity to learn. And there are multiple resources for you to learn. So don't be discouraged that this is something I have not learned. In fact, look at it as an opportunity to learn something new. And use the resources, use the internet to get your fix of whatever you're not aware of.
That is very well put, Ms. Althea. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all the viewers who joined in today. Please note that the recording of this particular program is available on Me Stories YouTube channels. You could probably share it with your friends who missed logging in today. Also, please keep checking the Me Story website to see the next web series that is coming up regarding your career opportunities. We would be taking up and inviting people from the industry who will come and specifically answer to your questions to help you build your career, understand in terms of how you could design your future, because as Ms. Althea mentioned earlier, the future is in your hands and you need to mold it the way you have to do it. But as long as you enjoy doing it, I'm sure you will be successful in it. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody, for joining. Thank you once again, Ms. Althea, for taking your time out on Saturday evening to be here to talk to our students and their parents.
Thank you very much, and I hope and I wish all the students the very best on this call. Regardless of what they choose, I hope that they have a very successful career ahead. And I hope to see them all as ACCA members in the next few years. But even more, I hope to see them as very successful professionals and great human beings as well. So thank you very much for having me, and good luck to you as well. And thank you very much. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Ms. Althea. The pleasure has always been mine. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.